But my beats, they are hard.
To another BCSN conversation. Joining us today is Coach Andre Payne. Uh, just, just a little bit of a useless trivia fact I'd like to throw out before we get started in. I don't know how many people were fans of J. Anthony Brown when he was on the Tom Joyner morning show, but he always used to make this reference of Denmark Tech when everybody started talking about HBCUs. Well, I used to tell people, Google Denmark Tech. There is really a school named Denmark Tech. For those who may not know, there are 12 community or junior colleges that are designated as HBCU. 10 of those play athletics. All of them play basketball. One of those 10 schools is Denmark Tech. So joining us today is Coach Andre Payne, new head coach at Denmark Tech in his first year at Denmark Tech. So before we get going, Coach, how you doing? How's your family and everybody doing today?
Oh, doing well. Everybody's doing well. I mean, just of course dealing with these trying times. We're dealing with COVID, but hey, we're making the best of it. Spending a lot of quality time together as a family because of it.
Well, that's about all you can do right now because you can't move around like you used to doing and everything.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Getting into a little bit of your background. You have such a unique background going into your coaching stint there at Denmark Tech. You played ball at Alabama A&M when Alabama A&M was still a Division II school in the SIAC. You've coached NAIA and Division I basketball. And you've happened to have coached on both men's and women's sides during your coaching stint. Now you're coaching junior college basketball. So talk about a large plethora of experience that you had. First, let's go back to your your college days at Alabama A&M. Just kind of walk us through it, kind of take us through your experience on the hill at A&M.
Well, definitely, I enjoyed it. Great opportunity, great experience. Wasn't just a great experience basketball-wise because I had shoulder injury early, and so that kept me from getting on the court. But was being at an HBCU, being around majority African Americans and having majority African American professors, it definitely was nurturing to me. And I tell people I wouldn't change it for the world. I wouldn't give up Alabama A&M for Duke University.
All right. Now you got a degree in engineering while you were there at Alabama A&M, but for some strange reason you decided not to use that degree and go into basketball coaching. Why?
Well, to be honest with you, when I came out of high school, in 1993. Of course, everybody always have those NBA aspirations. And I was almost like a first generation, first generation college student. So didn't know much about major. I knew that, if you was an engineer or a doctor or a lawyer, you could make some money. And so I was engineering. And I remember that first day I went in Coach Pettaway's office and I said, he said, well, what major did you select? I said, mechanical engineering. He said, what? Oh, you sure you don't have time to do that? And so I took that as a challenge, and ended up majoring in engineering. After a while, I was thinking about changing my major, and engineering is one of those funny majors that if you decide to change too late, you can lose a lot of courses, especially when you get into your engineering courses, because they don't transfer into something else, And so therefore, I stayed with it and finally graduated with a degree in mechanical engineering.
Now you just mentioned Coach Pettaway.
Yes.
I've known Coach Pettaway, competed against Coach Pettaway as a coach, legendary coach there on the hill at Alabama A&M, and I believe he's in the Hall of Fame. So just talk about playing for Coach Pettaway, because a lot of people have forgotten about Coach Pettaway since he's walked away from the game and become a part of the SWAC network.
Oh, well, I mean, Coach was one of those type of coaches that he definitely was aggressive coach. My experience was more so in practice with him. He knew how to go out and get great players because not that he didn't have great X's and O's, but he knew that he had to have those players in order to carry out those X's and O's. And he was one of those guys that he didn't play. You came to practice every day ready to work. And my experience from in the game time was actually sitting and just watching the team play. And he knew that his numbers were always going to be greater than his opponents. So where you could only go maybe 7, 8, Coach Pettaway was going to go 10 or 12 deep. His 13th man could have been a 6th man for somebody else. And so I would say he was a good coach, but he was also probably a greater recruiter.
All right. Now, after leaving Alabama A&M, you eventually migrated into coaching in the NAIA level. Try to talk about the transition, the difference between playing at that time Division II basketball and NAIA basketball, which on a competitive level are very similar athletically and competitively.
Yeah, definitely. It's very similar because on the NAIA level, you get a lot of older players, a lot of guys who were former Division I, former Division II, and definitely JUCOs. Very rarely do you see a kid coming straight into NAIA from high school. So therefore, you get a lot of mature, a lot of grown, physically ready to play the game. And so therefore, a lot of times a high school student, kid fresh out of high school may have a hard time just because of the physical strength wise of it, and of course the knowledge of the game. NAIA is one of those leagues that some have produced some special players, and it still does, because in my opinion, it's a second chance league. Guys who maybe didn't do well academically on the Division I or Division II level, and it gives those guys an opportunity to showcase their talent.
All right. Now, you had 2 stints at NAIA schools, at Wiley College and at Texas College. Kind of take us through those 2 stints that you had with those schools.
Well, it started in 1999. I started off as a 23-year-old assistant coach and working in housing. And I became the physical plant director not too long after I started and that's where the engineering degree paid off, because they needed someone on campus to run physical plant. And so when the opportunity presented itself in the summer of 2001 to become the head coach, and I was actually the youngest head coach at a 4-year institution at 25 years old. And I had 7 years there, great years. I was also athletic director. That particular summer, I was the only coach left. So, yeah, well, it was a tough situation. We were fighting for our accreditation. We had 250 students. We were looking for a SACS visit early that fall. And so now the president called me in the office and said, it's your job. And now you got to go out and hire women's basketball, volleyball, baseball. And so
you got baptized by fire, as they say.
Oh, yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And And then on top of, like I said, dealing with the Saks visit coming up, because I still was the physical plant director, the AD, and the head coach. And,
Oh, wow.
and we was on the breaks of closing with 250 students. So, you know, it was a situation where I'm very thankful because I learned so much. I had to wear so many hats and do so much. And then at the same time, I had a president saying, we got to get the enrollment up. So Payne, I want you to start football. So, so it was definitely trying, but we made it through. And I enjoyed those years because I learned how to make something out of nothing. We had no scholarship, athletic scholarships. You know, the gym was the oldest gym in East Texas. You know, just a lot of different, you know, things that can make a coach situation difficult. And 7 years, did well. We competed and did well. Never, I think, finished worse than maybe fifth out of about 10 teams. And that's when I matriculated to Wiley, and which was a little better situation for me financially. And in the first year, I actually won the conference tournament, and which was huge because Wiley hadn't been to the national Ncaa tournament in 34 years. And so that was huge. And I ended up winning 2 conference tournaments while we're there at Wiley, and, you know, had some success there. But one of the biggest success that I like to say that I enjoy seeing is our women's program was on the national championship level. Our volleyball program was on the national championship level. Our track program was on the national championship level. And so it wasn't about just creating a good atmosphere for men's basketball. It was about creating a good atmosphere for all of the athletic program. And we became one of the top team in the conference. We won the All Sports Conference Award. We hosted the men and women's basketball tournament. We hosted the cross country meet. And this was very unusual because, like I say, Wilder was at the bottom of the barrel. By that time, they had 12 teams. And so that was, you know, a big accomplishment that all of the sports were successful.
Yeah. Now, Wiley and Texas College are members of the Red River Athletic Conference.
Yes. Yes.
Xavier, who's been a member of the GCAC since its beginning, is going into the Red River Athletic Conference next year. Yeah. What does Xavier have to look forward to in that conference since you spent so much time in that conference?
It's a tough conference. I think a lot of people don't know that Wiley and Texas College, they're the original schools of the SWAC. All those schools out there, Paul Quinn and Bishop College.
And Langston was in the SWAC.
And Langston, yeah, that's right.
That's right.
Yes. That is so correct. And so now you take it, Xavier, who definitely have rich tradition. In my opinion, Xavier could easily be SIAC with no problem. And they, I remember talking to a administrator of Xavier some years ago, back when I was coaching at Wild, and I said, "What stopped y'all from going to SIAC?" And he said, "Because our president, their longtime president, I forgot his name, was there like 40 some years. He said he would never want to leave Dillard and Suno behind because of the rivalry. And that's why we wouldn't do it." But going into the Red River, everybody in the Red River is pretty much accustomed to playing at Xavier. It's going to make that league much more tougher, give it just that much more credibility, because Xavier has had, since Danton Jackson was the head coach there, they've done well. And I think that I think typically the Red River has been getting 3 teams to the national tournament. I see no reason why they're not going to get 4 to the national tournament with the adding of Xavier. I just hate the fact that they're leaving the GCAC, which is such a legendary conference when it comes to HBCU themselves.
Yes. Even though the GCAC has had non-HBCU members in the conference, the majority of the makeup of the conference has always been HBCU.
Always has, man. I've always played. When I was at Wiley and Texas College, every year we were going to go to New Orleans and we were going to play Suno, Xavier, and Dillard, and come back through and play Tougaloo. That was a given, and they were always going to play me in a home and home. That was 8 games that I knew I had every year.
And didn't have to really go that far up the road because all
Didn't have
those
to go,
schools were
no,
within maybe about a 4 hour ride of you, except Tougaloo's maybe a little bit further, but the rest of them right there.
right there. I mean, right there. I mean, it wasn't a hard trip at all because, of course, Tougaloo sits right off I-20. So
Correct.
this was a straight shot, man. I mean, it was, I remember my first college win was in Tougaloo Gym, the new gym, well, the gym that they have now. I was playing Suno at that time. So, you know, that place that have memories, all of those schools bring back great memories. I've had some knockdown. I used to play at Xavier when they was in the barn, you know, which was a difficult place to play. So, you know, those memories of playing those institutions out of the GCAC, man, you know, you can't beat them. From Philander Smith, you know, Russ College, you know, just great memories.
All right. Right. Now, after your stint in AIA, you went over back to the NCAA, this time on the Division I level. Talk about that transition from NAIA to NCAA Division I.
Well, the financial difference is what you see. Basketball is basketball. Don't get me wrong, the talent level is different. But, you know, if you coaching 2-3 NAIA, you're coaching it the same way Division I. But the financial aspect of it, you know, NAIA, you know, if I play a guaranteed game, if I got $2,000, I was doing great. Well, Division I, you know, you couldn't get me to come out for less than in somewhere in between 75 to 120,000, just depending on who you were trying, you know, who was trying to get us to play. So, you know, the financial aspect of it is the biggest difference. Travel. I mean, NAIA, you jump in 2 vans or a bus and you travel to play. You know, NCAA Division I at Mississippi Valley, we flew probably about 10 times a year. You know, I could remember playing North Carolina Central on a Wednesday, and on a Friday we were playing Gonzaga.
That's a heck of a stretch. That's a lot of frequent flyer miles.
Oh man, yes, definitely. So that's the biggest difference, the financial part of it. Coaching is coaching, but the financial part, and as I mentioned, the talent level. Of course, those guys on the Division I level, they're bigger, they're stronger, you know, a little more mature in their game. Where your NAIA guys, they are mature, but they don't have that size and strength that the Division I players have.
Right. Now, when you were head coach on the Division I level, and you also assistant coach on the Division I level, and you were assistant coach on the women's side of the game.
Yes.
So, you know, and I've coached men and women. Of course, when I coached women, it was in high school. But there's a difference in the approach to the game. You know, men are athletic.
Right.
Women are a lot more fundamental. There are certain ways you can address or say things to a male athlete that you would not dare think about saying to a female athlete. So just kind of talk about those differences of coaching men and women on that level.
Well, it definitely was fun. It was not my first time. When I started off at Texas College that year, when I was telling you about in '99, I actually, my volleyball coach I hired, she had just graduated in May. And so therefore, I started off coaching the team and she was more the assistant coach. Then as it got closer to basketball season, I let her have it because she had gained the respect of the ladies and, you know, I felt she was okay with it. So it had been a while since I dabbed in women athletics, but man, it was outstanding. I was blessed with the opportunity. When I got let go at Mississippi Valley, my former coach, who was at Alcorn, she called me and offered me her top assistant. Janetta Hayes, who were at Texas Southern at the time, called and offered me her top assistant spot. And and I chose to go to Alcorn because it kept me in the state of Mississippi. Well, it was great. Coach Courtney Pruitt, she brought me in to basically be the defense coordinator. She said, Payne, I want your defense. And it was fun. I remember the first practice, my teams take a lot of charges, and we do a lot of diving on the floor for loose ball drills. And one of the girls looked at me and said, hey, we ain't no dudes. I said, I know, but you're going to play like some dudes if you play my defense. And I met resentment. Oh, they did not like me at first because they weren't accustomed to all that diving, loose ball, taking charges, crawling, scratching, pinching, whatever we had to do to get the job done. But by the time we made it to SWAC, well, to put it in this word, we ended up #1 in the nation at Alcorn State in 4 defensive categories. We led the nation in steals, forced turnovers. We led the nation in defensive rebounds, and one more other category. But yeah, we went from winning 4 games to 14 games in a year, and we actually broke a national record. We forced one team into 53 turnovers. So
wow.
Yeah, we set a national record. I mean, you talking about Clemson, we were up 8 at halftime on them, and our biggest player on the floor was 5'7". But those ladies, boy, let me tell you something, I enjoyed it. And I really enjoyed teaching them how to press because they got at it. And so it was a fun year for me working with the ladies. And I learned a lot too. They taught me a lot, and I tell them that, have told them that too.
Have you had your Earth Blend coffee today? At Earth Blend Coffee, we take pride in offering you the very best of beans across the world, blended and roasted to perfection, giving you superior quality and satisfying and flavorful taste. Experience the world in one cup with Earth Blend Coffee.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
It's like a loop machine. Going around town, trying to get down. It's like a loop machine.
Now you're coaching junior college basketball. So before we get into how you migrated to Denmark, tell us about the difference in recruiting at all these different levels that you have coached at, because it's got to be tremendous.
Yes. One thing that I say they all have in that are familiar or all the same is everybody thinks they're bigger than the level they're being recruited. I can tell you that. At Mississippi Valley, even though we were Division I, they thought they should have been going to Mississippi State. So, NAIA, they thought they should have been going to Division I. And JUCO, they felt like they should be D2 at least. But the recruiting is a little different because now you don't have to deal with the eligibility aspect for, long as you graduate and have a 2.0, that's simple, versus the guys transferring. You got to get all these different transcripts and calculate the GPAs and
how many credits they gonna lose and all that stuff.
That there. But it is so far is I really have had the real experience because of COVID. I mean, I took the job in October, and so there's not a lot of gyms open. A lot of recruiting came word of mouth. Now that's the same because I don't care what level you're on. You have to know people in order to get ball players because, players have a lot of options these days. And typically You know, they got so-called handlers, people who influence them. That's the same. That's the same. That's the same, because even a kid that's being recruited by junior college, he wants to be treated as if he that 5-star recruit that's a McDonald All-American, you know. So that's part of it's the same, but haven't got a chance to just really experience it yet because of COVID. It's just been so limited.
Right. Now, talk about the job in Denmark. How did that come about? And right there.
Man, you know, I tell people nothing but the good Lord. I just be honest with you. When Alcorn, when we didn't get a contract renewed there, I had several offers, and COVID had just started. You know, I joke with people all the time. COVID saved everybody's job in the United States except the coaches at Alcorn. we went from 9th place to 5th place and still lost our job because we lost in the tournament right before they ended the tournament. I said, if we just could have played one day later.
If you'd have had the night game instead of the day game.
Instead of the day game, man, you definitely right. The night game instead of the day game. But there were a lot of different offers, you know, that people I've made relationship with, and people, you know, trust that I can come and help their program from Division I to Division II. And but I was complacent and staying at home. I thought I was going to probably be assistant coach at the high school my son was attending, because COVID had hit, and you know, I didn't know what to think. You know, how could we handle this? It was, you know, it was new, so I turned down a lot of those jobs. And as you know, the summer went on, and it was getting close to school to start, and my certification didn't get accepted in Mississippi High School. They didn't accept me. They said, "Well, you just got experience coaching. You ain't got experience teaching." So
yeah, right.
Denmark had just recently lost their coach, and they wanted to have a full-time coach. And so they brought me in as the first full-time coach in probably at least 15 years. All the other coaches have been part-time. And I'm also the coordinator of Upward Bound and the assistant athletic director. Started in October, and then at the end of December, the vice president, who was the AD, she retired. And so now I am the athletic director and the head coach. And I always just say it was the good Lord, because I had no earthly idea about Denmark Tech. You know, someone told me that they could be looking for a coach. And at that point in time, okay, I've known, now we're dealing with COVID and I understand it now. So I applied, and, you know, hey, you know the crazy thing about it? I applied at Voorhees, which is right across the street.
Yeah.
Interviewed me, and I just knew they would call back. And so when I seen the 803 number popping up, I said, Voorhees is calling me back. But it was Denmark Tech on the phone asking me would I be interested in interviewing for their job. So, hey.
hey, all things come to those who wait, and things happen for a reason.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
All right. So now you're there in Denmark. Kind of talk about, and you said you came in October. So yes. You actually did not get a chance to go out and get this team. This is pretty much what was here when you got here.
Right.
Which is probably, I've been on the sidelines, I'll say this, can be a blessing and can be a coach's worst nightmare, just depending on what kind of groceries that you have in the kitchen.
Right.
You know, so just kind of talk about how you matriculate through that and try to figure that out. You got to build this camaraderie. They got to get to know you. You got to get to know them. And truthfully, this, in a normal situation, this is when practice is getting ready to start up.
Yes.
But you have this other thing called COVID going on. Just talk about all of that in a nutshell.
Well, it was because the coach prior to me, he had recruited about 15 guys here. They had last year, I think they went 0-22. So I think he said, "Hey, I'm cleaning the house and we're starting this thing over fresh." And And so as I started, you know, like I actually got hired September 29th. So I started right there in October. And the guys, there was some resentment there. I mean, you can only imagine if your coach.
This man recruits you, now you got a new coach. I understand that.
And,
Been there, done that.
And it's in October, you know, it's in August, you know, in August where you don't have the opportunity to kind of know your coach, get a chance to know the new coach. It's in October. Right. So there was some resentment, not because they were resenting me, and I understood that because once again, going back to my days of coming from Texas College to Wiley, I got the job in the summer, latter part of the summer. A lot of the players were upset because the administration decided to make a decision. But by the end of the year, we were winning a championship. So I tried to sell the guys on that, say, hey, it's okay. You should feel some type of way, but that's okay. Once you stop feeling some type of way, you're more than welcome to come in the gym. There were a few players that refused to come in and work out. And I wasn't upset. I told the president, it's okay, Mr. President, they're young. You know, they don't understand business aspect of it. The only thing they understand, that was my coach. I said, so I won't hold it against them. And finally, once we got everybody in, I told him, I said, well, look at it this way. You got a month to work out in front of me and show me your talent like you trying out. Actually, I said, because I'm not. I told the president I wasn't cutting anybody. That wasn't going to happen because if it wouldn't be fair to that young man to have been recruited here and maybe had an opportunity to go somewhere else, but decided to come here. And then I decide, well, I'm going to cut him. I said, long as they do what they're supposed to academically and work hard athletically, they'll be a part of the team. I'll find some way, somehow, to make them part of the team. Few guys quit. Few guys didn't like the system I was bringing. That comes with the territory. And here we are. With now with the guys, there are about 7, 8 guys that decided to stay. And then I brought in about 6 or 7 guys. And we're going to roll from there. One thing that I've been selling to the returning players, and I guess they're returning, but they technically were new to the institution. And then the players that I actually brought in is that, hey, look at this. You're practicing and working out in front of a coach who doesn't have any particular favorites or what, because he don't know what he's dealing with. Even the guys I just brought in, you know, is word of mouth, seen film, maybe seen him one time. It ain't like I just sat and watched them play a high school game 4 or 5 times.
Right.
So it's an equal opportunity, and may the best man win the playing time.
All right. So what do we have to look forward to this year? And since you're the athletic director, I'm going to ask you give us a little bit of a forecast about your women's program also. Okay.
Well, they won 0 games last year, so I think if I win 1, I'm doing
an improvement.
So, well, I mean, it's going to be fun and exciting. I think I bring something to the table that most of them are not accustomed to, and that's going in and trying to control the aspect of the game versus just playing. Because that's one thing I learned on the Division I level is how to try to control the aspect of the game to where you're capable of competing in, you know. And I can see it because in junior college, they shoot fast. You know,
it's run and gun.
Yeah.
Run and gun, get as many highlights as you can for your film so you go to the next level.
And so, you know, I shared with them on the other day. I said, now I can make you run a 4-man, 3-man weave before every play and kill 15 seconds. And then we can go into a play and we won't have all this fast shooting. I said, you can miss a shot with 5 seconds to go on the shot clock versus missing a shot with 25 seconds to go on the shot clock and they going down the other end of the storm. We can slow it down. I said, but you all can play mature and I can just let you play if you're mature to understanding the type of shots that we can and cannot take. And so, it's been something new for me and an experience, and I hope it's something new for them because a lot of those guys coming from high school, you know. but I think we're going to be just fine. We don't have a whole lot of size. You know, we got one or two guys that got some length, but other than that, bunch of guards that are athletic. Their bodies are not physically strong, but they are athletic. And, you know, as far as our women's program, man, those little ladies out there, they play so hard, man. I watched them. They had 8 players, and they scrimmaged in November, a team that had 21 players, and it went down to the wire. But our ladies they played so hard and gave it all they can. They ended up losing in the end in the scrimmage. But I told Coach, I said, hey, man, I said, just get you about 3 or 4 more in, Coach. You're going to be all right, because you just need some bodies. But I enjoy watching them. I'm enjoying the whole scene of Denmark Tech. I'm enjoying that I'm getting to put my fingerprint on the program. I work for an outstanding president with a vision. He's allowed me to come in, and we've spent anywhere from $50,000 to $75,000 in refurbishing things in the gym. There's been a lot of elbow grease by myself personally. I had to bring out my physical plant hat to do a few things.
That's an engineering degree from Alabama A&M.
Hey.
You around.
Whatever I got to do to make it work. And but it has been exciting. And it's so far with working for a president like Dr. Todd, who wants to get it done. I mean, there's no hesitation with him. We're looking even next year, adding to the athletic programs. We got a weight room. That's the first thing I said to the president on my visit there. I said, Mr. President, you don't have a weight room? He said, no. He said, we need one, Coach? I said, yes, sir. He said, well, you come here, I'll let you get us a weight room. And, you know, we have about, good amount of weight equipment coming in. And some of it has already arrived.
All right. Just talk about the institution you work at in general, just Denmark Tech. For those, most people do not understand what Denmark Tech is about. Just give us a little bit about your institution.
Well, it's a technical college. And people don't understand that technical college these days are so important. What the technical colleges have already accomplished, the four-year schools are trying to, because it's been proven that by the time you get that 4-year degree and all those loans that you have built up, and now you come out and you making $40,000, $50,000, it'll take 20 years for you to get out of debt in order to see. In order to see why you went to that 4-year institution. But you can go to a 4-year college like Denmark Tech, and let's just say you decide you wanted to be an electrician. You decided you wanted to drive trucks. You welder, you may go welding underwater. Man, you can get jobs making $50,000 to $80,000 off a 1-year certificate, or a 2-year associate's degree. And so that's why schools like Denmark Tech are so valuable, so vital to our students. Cosmetology, that's one of our biggest area. One of our alums who's has 2 shops in Atlanta. So you can only imagine the money that she's making if you can afford 2 shops in Atlanta.
That's a lot of booth rent.
Oh my goodness. And so, and barbering, we have that. And then we have an outstanding nursing program. So you're talking about the experience that a young man or young lady can get at somewhere like Denmark Technical. And then, one of the most exciting thing about Denmark Technical College, we're the only technical college with housing. Everybody else don't have housing. It's commuting. And one of the reasons is when it started in 1947. So therefore, they decided to build housing because they wanted the African-American students to go to this one technical college, and we're not going to integrate these technical colleges. So Denmark benefited from that. Years later, now we're benefiting from it because we're the only one with housing on campus. And, it sits right across the street from Voorhees. Have produced some great people like you, Jay Anthony, and some other people that, names that may not be known, but people who went on to get doctorate degrees, things of that nature.
All right. Last question before we close this up. Getting back to basketball, just athletics in general. NCAA has given pretty much a blanket year of eligibility to everybody. Mm-hmm. NCAA and Naia have given that. How do you think that's going to affect these high school kids? Because I see this as it's going to be a 2 to 3 year windfall because of this. Because some coaches going to keep their seniors, some coaches still going to recruit as normal. How do you think it's going to affect the high school kids who are seniors this year in 21 and then down the line? And also the kids that you have that are in your program, junior college kids, how's it going to affect them with this extra year of eligibility that people are getting?
Well, it's a twofold to this situation. Well, more than twofold, about a 4 or 5-fold to this situation. Okay, it's great because I appreciate the NCAA, NJCAA realizing, and NAIA realizing that, hey, these are trying times. Kid may not get to play but 10 games. Why take a whole season for 10 games on something he or she could not control? So that's great. Now, but what it does affect is that student athlete that's in high school. As coaches, we love to say we have a lot of players returning because that's more people that know your system, you know them, and you build that camaraderie as a team. So now I'm not enticed to go out and recruit other athletes, new athletes, or not as many, because I have so many that are choosing to stay and play another year, 21-22, because 2021 didn't count against them. Now, here go another fold that people have to realize and understand. If that student athlete decides to stay and play 21-22, well, there's that progress toward degree.
They still have to make that.
When you have to make going Division I to Division II, because only so many hours can you take at a community college. So let's just say the student athlete graduates this year, 2021. Graduates in spring 21, but he or she decides to stay. Now, he or she are taking courses that probably it's not going to help them because they got a degree, associate degree in something else. So those other courses are not going to help them. Only so many courses is, meant to be taken out of community college. But because you've used 3 years, now you have to have that 72 hours toward a degree versus that 48 hours. You see? So that's where it can come back to hurt students who decide to stay
at your level
next year, that progress toward a degree. So it's a catch-22 to the situation. And I'll be honest with you, I instructed my players just like this. If you have an opportunity, I encourage you to take that opportunity to that 4-year institution because that's what you're coming to junior college for. Because you may pass up. Let's just say an NAIA school wants to sign you. And you think, I don't want to go NAIA. And you stay this extra year. Well, there's a possibility you won't get an offer. I say, if it was my son, I'm saying take the opportunity. If you get a 4-year school that's willing to offer a degree and pay for school, hey, take it. Take it. Don't pass it up.
What about you think on the NCAA level? How you think that's going to affect them on the NCAA level since you spent so many years there?
It's going to affect them too. Yeah, it's going to affect them too because, you're going to have a lot of guys trying to, what's that terminology when they try to reclassify, so they can stay another year. Prep school. It's going to help prep school because you're going to hear guys talking about they going to prep a year, because they're not going to, kids just not going to be recruited because you still got those kids there. you know. So, you know, and with the NCAA, you can't just say, oh, well, I'm tired of you. I'm cutting you, or I'm moving on. You have, that kid literally have to do something to lose his or her scholarship. It's not, I'm tired of you, or I can get better. You know, those days are over with. You know, that kid has to have some egregious violation, and more than one, in order for you to say, I'm not renewing your scholarship. It doesn't work like that anymore.
Yeah, and you're about one of the few other people who I've said, I'm thinking we're going to see a big glut of students, high school students, start having to go the prep school route, because I don't care what it is, there are only so many slots in junior college. There are only so many slots in Division III, Division II, and Division I. And only so many of those slots come with scholarships.
Exactly.
So I'm thinking, you know, you're going to see kids spend a year in prep school, unlike we've never seen before. Maybe the next 2 years, prep schools are going to be going up. But I've taken up enough of your time, Coach Payne. I tell you what, why don't you tell everybody how they can get, if they got a kid who's interested in coming to Denmark Tech, how they can get in touch with you guys over there at Denmark Tech, especially when it comes to recruiting. If they got a check they want to send you, I'm pretty sure y'all take PayPal and Cash App and all that stuff too. How they take those donations, and then the school website and all that stuff.
Yes. As far as from if you have a player that you want us to look at from men's or women's basketball, please, you can contact me at Payne, that's Payne, A as an apple, at Denmark, that's DENMARK, Tech, TECH.edu. And also, you can reach us by 803-570-0028. Like I said, men or women's basketball, it doesn't make a difference. Just reach out to me, and I'll pass that information on to our women's basketball coach. If you want to make that $1 million donation, go to our website. And even if you want to make that donation, or the one that jiggle in your pocket, go to the website and look up on the, I think, institution advancement. It's a button up there that says donate, and you can click on that, and you can gear your donation toward the athletic department. But we're just asking people to don't forget about Denmark Tech. We've been here 70 years, educating predominant African Americans, and we've been an integral part of the state of South Carolina and Denmark, the city. And so don't forget about us, because we are HBCU. A lot of times people don't mention us and some of the other small JUCOs and community colleges as HBCU, but we are here, and we are here to stay.
All right. And one other thing, go ahead and get those checks ready. Homecoming is coming up February 6th for Denmark. So definitely want to make sure all alumni and fans make that homecoming donation for Denmark Tech.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Homecoming against Voorhees. And we literally separated by a fence. And so I'm looking forward to it. I haven't seen it yet. I know it won't be the same because of COVID, but I can only imagine how Texas College and Wiley and Texas College and Jarvis and Paul Quinn, I can imagine it's some of those type games there, man. That
Dylan Xavier
stay deep embedded in my head.
Yeah. Probably another Dylan Xavier matchup or something along those lines.
Yes, indeed. Indeed. Dylan Xavier, Suno, some of the, that type of matchup there. Yeah.
Well, we look forward to it. Hopefully, I will get a chance to come up there for that matchup there. So
yes, indeed.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. Once again, Coach Andre Payne, head coach and athletic director at Denmark Tech, one of 10 HBCU community or junior colleges that play athletics. Coach Payne, we thank you for your time. God bless you, and let's go out and get some wins this year.
Thank you for having me on. Appreciate you.
Support the Black College Sports Network so we can continue to provide you coverage. go to myjbn.com/support and be a part of the Black College Sports Network.
Majesty is a premium health and wellness tea line focused on bringing delicious yet healthy tea blends to the community. Filled with an abundance of vitamins and antioxidants, we work to blend teas with exotic spices and fruits to produce scrumptious and wholesome beverages. So check us out at mymajesties.com. That's MyMajesties.com. My Majesties, an Urban Passport member.
Let's face it, shopping for insurance can be time-consuming. That's why when it comes to your auto, home, and life insurance needs, make things simple and trust the experts at Allstate. They will help you get the coverage that fits your needs while helping you bundle your life, home, and auto policies. Bundling saves you money, sure, but it also saves you time, so you can enjoy the things that matter most even more. Contact me, Tammy Haynes, your local agent, for a free personalized insurance quote. Allstate, are you in good hands?
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
Welcome to another BCSN conversation. Joining us today is a lot of people forget about our HBCUs and don't participate in the major conferences, CIAA, SIAC, BIAC, and SWAC. Joining us today is Alico Dunk, women's head basketball coach of the Stillman Tigers. Stillman Tigers are compete now in Ncaa. They were formerly Division II in the SIAC. So, Coach Dunk, how are you doing today? How's your family? How's everybody going?
Everybody's well, man. It's a great day, man. Great day to be alive with all this going on, man. Just blessed to be here.
Yes. And you guys compete in the Southern States Conference.
Southern States Athletic Conference. Yes.
So, I forgot the athletic portion. Southern States Athletic Conference there in Naia. For those who are not familiar with that conference, tell us a little bit about that conference.
It's a very prestigious league. We have many teams that are nationally ranked in this conference. They get 3 or 4 teams to make the national tournament every year. This league is very, very competitive. Coming in a couple years ago, we got a rude awakening to the quality of basketball in this league.
Yeah. Speaking of the national tournament, what's your thoughts on the new tournament format with instead of Division I, Division II, as it's been for past 30 years, and going back to one large division? And then after they decided to go back to one large division, they decided because of COVID to cut the number of teams that will be participating from 64 down to 48. Just give us your opinions on that.
Well, just due to the times, you just have to make the adjustments. It seems like it's unfair for the teams that, the lower level teams that, who bank on making the tournament from winning the conference tournament or just having an at-large bid. It's just tough, man. It's really tough to make that transition or the lack thereof of cutting back the team. So it's tough. It makes the kids really have to compete hard to try to make that tournament. So that's a big time adjustment, and it's a lot of pressure for the kids.
Yeah, especially when that second adjustment was made midstream. Everybody thought you were going to get still the same 64 teams in, because it used to be 32 and 32, but now makes it a little tougher switching midstream. But hey, this is 2020 and 2021. We've had to adjust so many things due to COVID over the past year or so.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. One other thing while we're speaking about your conference and in general, you're going to have a new HBCU joining your conference. That being right down I-20, Talladega Tornadoes will be coming into the conference next year. Any thoughts about that? Or are we going to see a new rivalry game between Stillman and Talladega now?
Oh man, great addition to our league, man. Talladega is a very, very good team year in and year out. They're nationally ranked. We look forward to them entering the conference and starting the rivalry.
All right. Now let's get into your team quickly. Just kind of tell us how tough was it for going through this off season, trying to get everything going, and then getting, in theory, a late start, because you've had some teams on your level who had 10 games in before the Christmas break, whereas you guys did not even start until January, about January 4th, if I remember correctly. So just kind of tell me how tough it was, and then how it's been going against those teams that have 10, 12 games under their belt compared to you with only 3, 4, 5 games under your belt at that point in time.
Well, tough is an understatement because we started practicing mid-September. We practiced for maybe 3 weeks straight, and we got shut down for a couple of weeks. We actually started back practicing the second week of October. We practiced one day, and then we were shut down for the rest of the semester. Our last practice was October 10th. We practiced the next practice after October 10th was December 28th when we returned from our Christmas break. Our kids went to class virtually. They actually went home. Most of my kids went home for the remainder of the semester. So I didn't get an opportunity to see my kids until December the 28th. Once we started practice, we had 6 days of practice and played a game on January the 5th. That was brutal. That stretch was brutal, trying to get them to acclimated to the system and reteach everything in 5 or 6 days. It was almost impossible to do. But as I told them, there's adverse situations and we had to find our way and work through it. So it was just a matter of putting a little bit of everything in so we would be ready to face anything that was thrown at us in games. So it's been a big time adjustment. Here in this span, I've had kids to get injured, and in some nights I've played with 8 people.
Yeah. Do you think those injuries are due to basically lack of the practice time, which you don't have a chance to build up your condition and build up their muscle memory and things like that, or some of these just natural injuries that just happen because of the game of basketball?
Just a little bit of both, But I feel like, with the lack of conditioning, it makes it easier to sustain an injury. So, you got to be careful as you're preparing for games and conditioning your kids. You got to be mindful of, you can't push them but so much because of the injury factor.
Yeah. We're talking to Coach Dunk, Stillman women's basketball. Currently, right now, at the time of this recorded, at 2-5 in conference, 2-6 overall. Just came off a tough road swing there. Faced one of the top-ranked teams in Loyola of Louisiana, and you've got Mobile upcoming. So just kind of talk about that Loyola swing, and then what we have looking forward to with Mobile coming up over the next week.
Well, Mobile are getting votes to be nationally ranked. They're a very, very good team. They're well coached. They're a disciplined team. We play them on tomorrow, and then we turn around and play them next Tuesday. So we would see the same team within a week. So for as of right now, we just got to focus on us and fine tune some things and be fundamentally sound in preparing for each game that we face.
All right. And you have a team that seems to be predicated on the defensive side of the ball. You're you're top 50, and you're actually number 33 in scoring defense, giving up just over 60 points per game. You don't give up the three. Teams are shooting 27% against you from the 3-point line, and you're averaging 3.6 turnovers more than your opponent, forcing 3.6 turnovers more. Let's talk about your defensive philosophy and how that's able to help you compete during this time.
Well, you know, if any good team, if you're not good defensively, you're not gonna have success at any level, and that's been our staple since I've been here. That's our focus every day in practice, and I tell them all the time, if we can't score, we're not gonna let the opponent score. So our main focus is stringing along stops and putting stops together so we can have an opportunity to score the ball. For us, we've struggled a little bit on the offensive end, so we have to play defense. So that's going to be our focal point for this entire year, is on the defensive end.
All right. A lot of people have not seen you guys play. A lot of your games have been available on you guys' website via pay-per-view, but so we haven't really seen your roster. So if you would kind of give us some of the highlights of some of the key players on your roster if we do decide to follow Stillman basketball.
Well, as of right now, I have a 4-year starter in Morgan Collins. She's been through the good, bad, and the ugly. We're looking for her to lead us this year. She started off a little slow, but I'm expecting her to turn around at any point. She's averaging 7 or 8 points. I expect her average to go up to 13, 14 points a game once we really get in a rhythm. I have another senior in Brittany Washington who's been coming along very well. She's shooting 40+% from the 3-point line. Sad to tell you that she just sustained a concussion, so she's going to be out a couple games. So we just got to find the next man up, and everybody else has been playing decent, but everybody's trying to find their way in our offense. So just look out for a team that's going to compete every night and hang our hats on defense.
Outside of wins and losses, given everything that you've dealt with during the off season and everything that we're dealing with in society, what would constitute a successful season for you in your mind?
Oh, just the kids remaining healthy, and just trying to stay away from this virus, and just doing everything in our power to remain healthy, and more importantly, to take care of our academics. Because at this time, the kids' mental health is the most important to me. So, I constantly check in with them to make sure they're okay. So as of now, what's important to me is their overall physical and mental health.
All right. Before we get out of here, I always like to give coaches and my guests an opportunity to cover anything that I did not ask you. So, Coach, I'm playing point guard right now. I'm dishing the ball down low to you for the assist. Now go ahead and score with it.
Yeah. Well, as I just said, Stillman College, we're on the rise. We're trying to play an exciting brand of basketball. Tune in and check us out to see what we're doing. We're going to compete every night. We're going to do whatever it takes to be successful on and off the floor. And if you have any kids out there that are looking for a home, look up the Lady Tigers of Stillman College.
And if I do have that 6'4" girl, or that girl who shoots like Steph Curry or something along those lines, how do we get in touch with you? Number one, to put a recruit on your list. Number two, even if we don't have that recruit, but we'd like to support your institution financially, how do we send those donations, send those checks to? And then number three, just give us all of the various social media handles so we can follow Stillman Tigers basketball.
Well, of course, we have the school website, Stillman College Tigers. You can always reach us that way. Also, my email is adunk@stillman.edu. Also, my personal cell phone, which I don't mind giving out, because in this business, you're trying to find that diamond in the rough or that player that can get you over the top. My phone number is 252-916-3025. Shout us out at any time. We look forward to people, stepping up to the plate and helping us out in any form or fashion, whether that be financially or just supporting us or telling people about our institution.
All right, Coach Licio Dunk, head women's basketball coach there for the Stillman Tigers, located the other school in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, as we like to say. And yes, I've been to that gym. Great home court advantage in that gym. I think they talk more trash in that gym to me than any place else that I had during my coaching stint at Tuskegee. So,
all right.
Coach, we appreciate you. We appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.
All right.
Because the fight isn't over yet.
You will see me choose to protect my community by wearing a face cover.
And even with my face covered,
you will see me.
As a son.
As a man with a never quit attitude.
As a fighter for change.
Join me in wearing a face cover.
To help stop the spread of the coronavirus.
Because this is one small act of kindness
that has the power to make a big difference.
This is Brian Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN SportsWrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN SportsWrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
Welcome back to another BCSN conversation. Joining us for this portion of the conversation is Coach John Teasley in his 4th season, head coach of the Stillman Tigers, the other school in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, as we like to say. Stillman competes in the Southern States Athletic Conference, not one of the traditional HBCU conferences, but is one of the probably the most competitive conferences on the NAIA level. So, Coach Teasley, how are you doing today? How's your family? How's everything going for you?
So far, so good. It's still early though, but everything's good today.
All right, and we appreciate you for joining us there.
Yes, sir.
Coach, like I said, you guys compete in the Southern State Athletic Conference. A lot of people who are HBCU fans are not familiar with that particular conference. Just in general, kind of tell us about that conference right there on the basketball level.
Yeah, it's probably one of the highest competitive conferences in the country, right up there with the Mid-South. And but yeah, I mean, you have so many basketball schools like the one we just played, Loyola. A lot of big basketball tradition there. It's one of the toughest places to play. You have Faulkner, who's highly ranked nationally every year. Dalton State, teams like that, had legendary coaches like Tony Ingle. I mean, it's a really tough conference, and it's every game is crucial and critical. And it makes our job fun because we have to prepare and be ready because we know every night, it's going to be a tough game and tough contest. I mean, so many schools, like William Carey, legendary coach Steve Knight, having to prepare for his kind of play in his teams is really tough. So, but it makes it worthwhile and it's fun. So.
Yeah. And speaking of the Southern States Athletic Conference, you're going to have a new partner coming into that conference next year, that being the Talladega Tornadoes.
That's right.
Are you looking forward to the rival? Will there be a rivalry between you guys as the only 2 HBCUs in that particular conference? What do we have to look forward to?
Yeah, Talladega's, in our same state, we used to play them a long time ago, and they really have a great program when it comes to basketball. They got them a new arena. So much they bring to the table to the conference. I'm looking forward to it, just being geographically being able to play somebody close and as good as they are. And it really boosts our region and it boosts our conference, to add teams like Talladega, and especially on the basketball standpoint. Coach Wright's always got his teams ready to play. these making national tournaments. They got a great program. So
Yeah.
it's going to help our conference.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's going to definitely be a booster to the conference. So, Coach.
Yeah.
We all know COVID-19 is going on.
Yes, sir.
I don't know how many starts and stops you guys have had, but everybody has had those this year.
Yeah.
Kind of talk about just everything you've had to do to prepare to play in 2021.
Yeah, one of the main things that we wanted to do as a campus-wide thing was to make sure everyone stayed safe and just tried to keep our activities limited on campus. So it kind of shut down we always have a preseason workout program for our guys, and we weren't able to do those things like we normally do. So it kind of threw a wrench in the spokes for us. You're trying to figure out how we were going to be competitive and keep our guys safe at the same time. And, we didn't really pick back up till December the 27th when our guys reported back. So we haven't been, everything's been virtual with our guys, just trying to keep them, stay in touch with them, keep them up on their grades and things like that. But basketball has been limited till the 27th. So we got back on the 27th. We went through 2 days trying to get them, conditioned enough to where they can compete in a game. And that was really tough 10 days that we had because we played on the 5th. And we had Russ College, which is probably one of the best Russ teams we've faced all since I've been here as a coach. And we knew, but the guys responded well. They knew where they were and what they needed to do. And that helped out a whole lot for us to be able to get ready and compete. And we've been fortunate right now. We're 7-1. And it's just a dedication that the guys put in when they come back to understand, we had a lot to put in a little bit of time, and they embraced it instead of fighting it. Like, when you go through the valley, sometimes it takes you a little while because you're fighting it, but they embraced it and they were able to, you see where they are right now. So I'm just proud of how they embraced that.
And Stillman is currently ranked number 2 in our BCSN small school rankings for all those out there who are wondering. And they have had a player of the week 2 weeks ago in Trey Petty, who had a triple-double in a game, and still, even with the triple-double, put up, I believe it was 25 points a game that particular week in 3 games. But before we talk about some of the individual players on the team, one last question about just your play in general. Mm-hmm. You've had some teams in NAIA who competed in 10, 12 games before you guys were even able to get started.
Right.
But you guys have been able to get off to such a tremendous start, starting the season 6-0, 7-1 overall, 6-1 in conference. Talk about the advantage/disadvantage that you guys had coming in with these teams having all those games up under the belt, and what formula you were able to use to get off to this start.
Well, my focus is don't move on till you got what you got, and we take care. We don't try to move too far ahead, and we just focus on certain sets and things like that till we know them and doing things like that. And usually we have a time frame. Well, this year we didn't have that, so we had to throw a lot at them. And but our style of play, we call it structured freedom. Basically, we give you a little bit of structure, but we want you to play freely in it. Take what your opponents give you and things like that. So that's really hard to teach a player how you want them to play in a system like that. Everybody thinks, oh, well, let's say I can just go play, but really when you got 5 guys out there, everybody's got to still be on the same page, but still be able to use those abilities we recruited them to, that got them recruited. And so just the key to our success right now is we focused on it when we got back was taking care of the basketball and sharing the basketball. And one of the stats that we lead in the nation that I'm so proud of right now is assist turnover ratio. We rank number 1 in the country in assist turnover ratio. And that's just them understanding how to take care of the basketball and share the basketball. And shot selection, we tell them there's 3 types of shots. You have a good shot, you have a tough shot, and then there's a bad shot. So them knowing the difference in shots, and it helps them with their shot selection, and that's how we're able to put the basketball in the hoop. And these guys just understand, And I think the layoff kind of put us in a situation where we thought, we would be, behind a little bit, but it also made us tougher as a team going through 2-a-days so quickly. But it is tough to play a team that's already played 11 games and things like that. But our guys understand the cool thing is they understand where they are and what they got to do to be successful. And I think that's helping us out right now.
Yeah. And what's also helping you out is you've got 4 players averaging double digits in scoring thus far. You've got Trey Petty at just over 23 points per game. Yeah. You've got Devin Merriweather, 18.3 points per game. You've got Ladarius Carter at just under 14 points per game. And you've got Derek Finkley at just shy of 11 points per game.
Right.
And I guess that, a lot of us say it looked like street ball or park ball, but obviously you have some rhyme and some rhythm to what you're doing. So just kind of talk about those 4 players in general and what they mean to this program, especially when you consider preseason. No one expected Stillman to be this competitive this quickly in the season.
Yeah, no. When you got 4 guys like the ones you mentioned that understand the system, and every one of those guys have been in the system now. This is their second year, so they kind of know how to play in it, and that's really a key to our success is having guys on the floor that understand what we're trying to do and how to do it, and it makes life a lot easier as a coach when you got leadership like that, because it trickles down to the new guys, and it helps them progress a little bit quicker than normally, because they have such great leadership qualities, and knowing the system already, it kind of helps the other guys. So yeah, those guys, and like I told you, just sharing the basketball, that's one of the things. It's easy to say share the basketball, but you have to take care of the basketball in that process, because when you do those kind of things, you have guys that get numbers like that, and they understand, taking a good shot, what a good shot looks like. And a lot of times guys are just trying to go get numbers, but in this case, these guys actually are in the right spot at the right time, and their numbers are showing it. So that's how their numbers look like that. And you always have a lot of guys that really get a lot of points and things like that, double digits, because of just the way we play. So It's not about one man. It's about all of us doing everything that we can to help the team.
Now, we just talked about your awesome foursome that we have. Who are some of the unsung heroes on your team, the ones that don't fill up the points column, but fill up the other things for you on the stat sheet and do the things that coaches love to see get done?
Yeah, we got one. His name is Virgil Fields. He's from Georgia. He's a great guy. He does all those little things that we need. He fights for every 50-50 ball. He sets screens. He rebounds. He does everything that we need him to do to help us. And another guy like EJ Galloway, who's a new guy he's coming on strong now. He had a great game at Loyola where he had a double-double. He scored 19 points, but you can see how he's growing from game 1 to now, learning how to play in this system, because he just transferred in but he's performing well now. He's an unsung hero, and we got so many. We play 10 guys. We got Roger Davis, who does a lot like Virgil, and then you have another kid, Marcus Bates, who's a JUCO transfer that transferred from Shelton, who's learning the system. He's a new guy. So yeah, there's so many guys out there that do so many little things that make this thing happen. So they know their role, and everybody understands their role, and they embrace that as well. So it's a good thing. It's good to be around a group of guys like that, because it's so tough nowadays. I'm telling you, it's like I tell our guys, we look for guys with a motor. They ask me, what do we look for? Guys with a motor. And what's crazy is that seems like that's become the new superpower. Trying to find that guy with that motor that don't shut off, and when you got 4 or 5 of them on the team, it makes our job easy. So,
well, for somebody who's coached against that style, it makes your job as a coach tough on the other end of the other end. So, Coach, we're gonna get ready to get you out of here on these last couple of questions. one thing I always like to do is, now I'm gonna be the point guard right now. I'm gonna dish it down low to you for the assist.
Right.
So is there any questions that I have not asked you that you want to bring out during this interview right here that you want to make known?
Well, that's a tough question. Now, to me, I'm just here, man. I'm just answering your questions. But no, you know, I mean, this team. All I can tell you is this team is special. You know, just for me, because all the obstacles we had to go through. You know, you kind of worry, will it tear you apart? But really, it's really brought them closer together, and they just understand and you know, basically just how great Stillman is. You know, Stillman's a great place, and these guys love it. You know, and you know, it's got so much tradition here, and you know, I'm just thankful to be here and be a part of this, and it's just, you know, it's just hard to believe, you know, sometimes, but it's a good feeling to be here. So,
all right, Coach Teasley.
Yes, sir.
If I got a 6'11" for you, or if I got that lightning quick point guard who can shoot the ball from 25 feet away,
yeah.
How do we get it? How do we get in touch with you and put them on your recruiting radar?
Yes,
if
sir.
we got a check that we want to send to Stillman, how do we do that? Or if we just want to follow Stillman basketball, how do we do that?
Okay, if you want to follow Stillman basketball, the easiest thing to do is go to gostillman.com. and click on the men's basketball or women's basketball link. All our stats, all our information's on there, rosters and coaching bios, everything about me and my assistants are on there. Another thing, if you want to watch the game, our game links are on there, all those type of things. How you can get in touch with me, basically is at jteasley@stillman.edu for an email. And that's JTEASLEY at Stillman, STILLMAN.edu. And then, you know, all my contact information, phone numbers, and all that kind of thing is on the website. If you want to send a check, you can send it basically to Stillman College, 3601 Stillman Boulevard, Tuscaloosa, Alabama, 35401. That's our address. And then, you know, wherever you want the check to go to, whether it's men's basketball, women's basketball, you can just put it in the memo down there, you know, for men's basketball. But make your checks out to Stillman College. What was that? Did I miss anything?
No, that's about it. You know, just we need to know where to send the recruits. You told us where to send the money.
Call me, baby. I will talk to them all.
There you go, Coach. There you go, Coach. Well, we appreciate you. We appreciate you joining us here today.
Yes, sir.
Coach John Teasley, head basketball coach of the Stillman Tigers. Once again, number 2 in the new BCSN rankings. Trying to get to that number 1 spot.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me today.
Thank you, Coach.
Yes, sir.
But you stay hard.